Hi, welcome to Unit 4 of the Digital Economy course. This unit is entitled Transformation of the Traditional Industry. Now, if you remember from the last unit, we looked into how businesses are transforming because of the digitalization of businesses, which is a new business paradigm shift. Following from that, this unit will introduce to you how retail, manufacturing, and finance is changing in accordance to that business paradigm shift. So there are 7 contents in this particular unit, and this video will focus on the first one, which is Introduction to the Transformation of the Traditional Industry to Smart Industry. So what we're going to look at in this particular video is to try and recall some of the limitations of the traditional industry. And we are also going to see how what are the industrial revolutions are. So let's begin by looking at what are the 4 industrial revolutions that has hit our world in the last 100 years. So starting off from the 1765, there was the first revolution where it was characterized by a lot of pressure on steam pressure technology, paving the way for advances in mechanical production and automotives. In the second revolution in 1870, we had a characterization of electricity when it was introduced into the world in the establishment of mass production and the division of labor. And then in 1969, when computers was then reintroduced to the world, then this is what we call as the third revolution, where it's characterized by the development of electronics and IT infrastructures, as well as the automated production. Now, with the fourth industrial revolution, which is today, it is characterized by the merging of digital and the biological worlds together, because everything now has become so interconnected and so interrelated. So let's start by looking at what were some of the evolving industries. So at the beginning of the introduction of industry, industry refers to a manufacturing and the creation of goods or services, as well as all commercially related services in an ecosystem within a specified sector from end to end. So for example, if you look at this, it would be like a computer manufacturing industry is a subsector of the technology industry. R, S are the rare metals and the miners and the point of sale retailers. Then came the traditional industry. No, so for the sake of this course, we're just going to refer to the traditional industries as the composition prior to before the fourth revolution. Each revolution has swept across the globe and has brought a significant industry shift while the industries are born, and others would die, whilst others transformed and adapt. In the early 17th century, a computer would just be a job description. You would be employed as a computer to perform mathematical equations. Now, despite widespread concerns, history has shown that industrial revolutions have never led to mass unemployment. Moreover, a shift in the nature of the work instead. And as an example, the rise of the automobile industry came at the cost of the horse transport industry. Then came the smart industries, or the factories and manufacturing. This traditionally known as the post-third revolution, the use of smart generally relates to the use of technologies and data to enable connectivity or drive efficiencies. For example, automation, analysis and maintenance, etc. Today, the word smart is congruous with the technologies which bridge the gaps between the digital and physical worlds, for i.e. the artificial intelligence and Internet of Things. So these are just some of the new things that smart industries have had an effect on today's industry. Now, because of the fourth industrial revolution, industries now are ripe for change. The technologies in the fourth revolution have the capacity to perform complex analytical tasks at a level of accuracy and efficiency, the likes of which no human could replicate. There is no way of forecasting the true scope of the shift. Some of the industries believed to be most prone to change are those which are reliant on human interactions, services and networks, for example, like travel agencies, secretaries, car drivers, and job recruiters. There is also the reliance on data and input and analysis, for example, taxation, research, financial management, and services. Circulating content via non-digital mediums, for example, like books, CDs, and newspapers. Circulating content or providing services that could be reproduced, optimizing and better targeted by computers, for example, like digital content creation or call centers. Providing services which can be more conveniently accessible via technology, for example, translation apps. And retailers and wholesale traders, for example, manufacturers are now shipping direct to consumers. Now, new retail stores like Herma are the integration of these technologies into supply. So what are just some of the key areas of innovation that Industry 4.0 has brought about? Well, these are just a list of all the things that they have brought about. Pause this video just to go through this list. But I do want to bring your attention to two very important ones, which is blockchain technology and also cloud computing. Now, because of these two, a lot of the new technologies have been able to bring about a conglomerate of integration of technologies together. Now, what is the defining characteristics of the Industry 4.0? Today, we find ourselves at the stage of internet ubiquity, which means that a product is internet enabled is about as redundant as saying it is electricity enabled. Because the integration of technology into almost all facets of industry and everyday life is one of the most defining features of the Industry 4.0. The net result of this is that every activity you perform at each moment of the day could theoretically be improved, made more efficient, safe, convenient, and entertaining by technology, which means this creates opportunity for a world of more innovation than ever before. So three things I want you to look at. Firstly is the velocity of innovation. There is so much of innovation faster than ever before because of globalization, and increasingly accessible access to technology is turbocharging businesses' speed to market as well as consumer adoption rates. The time to reach 50 million users is so vastly different. Telephone will take about 75 years, television will take about 13 years, the internet will take about 4 years, Twitter will take about 9 years, but Pokemon Go only takes 19 days. The scope of innovation has become more expansive, wider, and deeper. The variety of products and services available is forecast to continue to compound and expand, while traditional technological and innovation is was more or less bound by Earth's population of roughly 7 billion people. IoT, Internet of Things, is effectively boundless. The impact of innovation is unpredictable but disruptive on a macro scale. Currently, there are over 4.4 billion internet active people, with 3 billion more set to join over the coming decade. As such, the impact of the innovation is likely to be extreme. Take, for example, autonomous vehicles not only threaten how we travel, it is also likely to impact how we design entire cities. Job losses won't be just taxis and truck drivers, but also complementary industries such as hotel and diners. So, if you were to take an example of how China uniquely digitalized themselves, look at this wave of China before. Clothing, food, and transportation encompasses work, life, and entertainment and study of their entire consumer internet. The driving effect was to foster digital behaviors among consumers and the driver effective synergy across industry and value chain. which means because of this, it drove the industrial internet to encourage product design, supply, manufacturing, logistics because of smart connection, smart decision making, and data intelligence. This enabled leverage massive amount of consumption of data and provide digital tools and applications. Now, before I move on, I would like all of you to just watch this video on the Padlet wall. You can go to this QR code and the password for the Padlet wall is here. And I want you to look at how this video shows you how IoT trends that will shape the industry of 4.0. This concludes this video. The next video I'm going to look at is we're going to look into the 3 different sectors of how traditional industry has transformed. So we're going to begin with the first one, looking at what are the challenges of traditional manufacturing before we move on to smart manufacturing. Thank you.